everyone, welcome back to Upwards with Pradyut and Tisha. I'm Tisha Relia Hande, and today we're going to talk about something that every digital marketer has to do once in their life, which is writing a creative brief. Now, typically in brands, there are creative agencies and media agencies. These could be the same or different. Mostly the creative mandate, which is, making assets for your social media, could also include making assets for ATL, like your print ads, etc., goes to a separate agency. So agencies like Shebang, 22feed, Connect, GoZoop, all of these are creative agencies which work with multiple brands. So let's talk about how exactly does this process happen. Typically, you as the digital marketing manager would write out a creative brief and send it to 3 or 4 agencies. You would then set up a call with these agencies and take them through the brief. Post that, it takes about 3 to 4 weeks for the creative partner to actually think about, the different approaches that they would like to have for your brand. And so they come back and they present to you, and then you evaluate what approach works best for you. And then of course you go into the commercial negotiation. But the first step of this, like I mentioned, is really writing that brief, and a clear brief. Make sure that your partner understands what are your requirements and what is the brand all about. So the first step in writing your creative brief is telling them about the company. Here, start a little bit with the history of the company, what is the kind of journey that you had, but also include things like what's the mission, what's the vision, and more importantly, what is the short and long-term objective of the company. So even before you deep dive into your brand, give them an overview of the entire organization. Next, talk a little bit about your brand, specifically the target audience. Now, here I'm assuming that you're writing a creative brief for a specific brand, which is a part of a larger company. So talk about your brand, talk about the different products which might be included as a part of the brand. And if each of them has a unique target audience, please do highlight that. Highlighting the target audience is a very critical step, because a lot of the creative mandate will actually depend on, who is the audience that these creatives are for. So is your audience, in the 20 to 25 age group? Are they in the 30 to 40 age group? What are their demographics? Where do they typically stay? What are some of the interests that you've seen that they have? All of that needs to be included in this second point. The next thing is the platforms. Now you need to define what are the different social media platforms that you are currently on, and more importantly, what is the objective for each of them, right? Because for different brands and organizations, the objective of the platforms also keep changing. So for example, is your Instagram consumer facing, or is it more for employee engagement? What are you using LinkedIn for? Are you using it for recruitment? Are you using it for brand building? What are you using Facebook for? What do you use Twitter for? All these key platforms that you want the creative agency to work on. Define these platforms, of course, add their links, but also more importantly, add their objectives. What would also be interesting for you to add is the tone of voice that you currently take on that platform. So what kind of tone of voice do you have as a brand? Are you friendly? Are you informative? And again, you would see that this changes per platform, right? Next, we dive into the key metrics that you measure. Now, your creative agency typically would take care of your organic metrics. In case you're just getting started with digital, the difference between organic and inorganic is organic metrics are what you reach without paying the platform, right? So for example, if you put out a social media post, there are some of your followers, a small percentage, who would see that post just by the virtue of them following you, or maybe someone sees your post because of the hashtag you've used. So all of this is your organic reach. Versus inorganic reach is where you pay a platform. So you pay Instagram, Facebook, or any of these platforms money so that you can reach the right target audience. Right now, your creative agency will typically be in charge of all the organic parameters, because they are the ones who will be posting, they're the ones who are writing copy, they're writing your hashtags, etc. So what you need to clearly define is that for each social media platform, what are the key organic metrics that you want to track. For example, on Instagram, are you focusing more on the number of people liking your post, or the number of people saving your post or sharing your post? Similarly, Facebook, are you focusing on video views? LinkedIn, are you focusing on reach or likes? Whatever are these important organic metrics for you, do define those so that the creative partner knows what they have to focus on. Include a sample content calendar. So have a sample content calendar for each of the platforms. Maybe you can add links to to some of your best performing creatives, just so that they know what exactly is already working for you as a brand, right? Because even when you do get a new creative partner on board, there are definitely some learnings that you would already have from your existing content. So make sure that you share at least what's working and what would be an ideal content calendar with some references in there for them. And here also I want to point out that it's a good idea to also share some competitors, right? You can share this right in the beginning also of the brief, but also if you want to share references of content from your competitors that you like or would like to emulate, then this could be a good point to add those also. The next thing you need to do is define the relationships between your different partners, right? So for example, is your creative agency also supposed to handle online reputation management? What that means is when someone comments on a specific post, is your creative agency supposed to handle that, or do you have a separate online reputation management partner who they have to work with? So just define all these relationships so they know, okay, they have a media partner, they have an ORM partner, they have a search partner, so they just understand your entire ecosystem, and more importantly, they understand where do they fit in that ecosystem. And of course, the last and the most important thing is clearly defining your scope of work. So what do you want this partner to do? For example, if you are asking them to make creatives, then how many posts are you looking at in a month for Facebook, for Instagram, for LinkedIn, for YouTube? If it is creating content, are they responsible for creating that content, or do you have a different production house that they have to work with on that? Do you have a lot of global creatives, or creatives which come from your international office, or do things have to be developed locally? Are they also going to be responsible for managing influencers and the content that they create? So really drill down and write the exact scope of work over there, because this becomes critical when it comes to the costing, right? Now the way that creative agencies typically work is that based on the scope, based on the amount of work to be done on the different elements of the brief, they will define how many people need to work on your account, and that of course is going to determine the cost that you actually pay for them. So please make sure your scope of work is extremely tight. Don't have like 100-200% buffer unless you have like a exponential expansion that you're planning, or you're planning to go into completely new channels or whatever it is. In that case also, just try and define things out. For example, if you want to start a second Instagram account which is say only for customer care or for a new brand, so whatever that is, please lay that out very clearly so that your creative agency knows exactly what the final scope is and how many people are needed, because you don't want them to understaff or overstaff your account. So this is a little bit about writing your first ever creative brief. I hope this helps you. All the agencies that I mentioned, I'll put their links to their website. These are just some partners that I've worked with, but really there are a lot of factors that go into deciding who is the right creative partner for you, and maybe we'll have a separate video on that. So I hope you found this video useful. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so that every time we have a new video, you are the first ones to get to know. Thank you so much, and Pradyut and I will see you next time.